This is the Real Good Procast with your hosts, Declan DeBarb, Ian Blumenthal, and Marshall Heath.
Okay, welcome to the Real Good Procast. My name, Declan DeBarp, as always, Ian Blumenthal to my right.
What's up, everybody?
And today we are missing Marshall, but we have a special surprise guest in the University of Ottawa Gee-Gees, Jacob Hanlon. Woo!
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
How's it going, Jacob?
Not too bad. Just getting through a week of classes here and gearing up for the big game Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can feel you there.
Just a quick question right off the classes thing. Like, how do you find balancing your classes and hockey life with U Ottawa?
Well, honestly, balancing classes and hockey is fine. It's balancing those along with a social life. That's where it gets kind of tricky.
That's
I mean, we're in classes for at least 12 to 15 hours a week, and then we're spending just as much time at practice, in the gym, on the road. So between those, it gets pretty busy, but with some time management and organization, we can get through it pretty well. I mean, on that note, our team, the men's hockey team, actually had the highest GPA last season out of all the male sports on campus. So that was a pretty good accomplishment that we had there. And, you know, just trying to fit in time for social events and going out with the team. With good time management and picking our spots, we can thrive and get through pretty well.
Jacob, you've been with this program for 3 years now since its reinstallment into the OUA, and you've experienced all three of the Colonel By Classics. Can you just speak to that?
The first one, it's we were still just kind of finding our way back in the league here, and it didn't go the way we wanted it to. But I mean, it was still a fun experience, and being able to play in front of a big crowd like that was definitely enjoyable, and just adds a little extra pressure on, but it also adds a lot more enjoyment into the game. And then last year, in our second year there, we obviously came out on top and won that game, and I think there were around 3,000 fans there at TD Place, so that was definitely a fun experience. And yeah, just being able to have that rivalry going and in front of so many fans, it makes for a really fun experience for both us. I'm sure the Carleton players too, and then obviously the fans. And this year, I've been told that we're projected to have closer to 5,000 fans, so that's going to be a pretty awesome crowd. And I mean, with the rivalry, it's a lot of fun. The fans have their different chants going on, and there's an Ottawa section and a Carleton section, so it just makes it for a really fun atmosphere and a really awesome time to be playing and watching the game.
Yeah, it sounds super fun. I'm probably going to be attending. And Declan mentioned the resurgence of like the U Ottawa Gee-Gees a couple years ago. How's the exponential growth for the team been from going from like a brand new team right into the U Sports here, going to so far undefeated in the regular season in this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty special experience that we've had the same core group of guys over these last 3 years here. Even starting out in the rebirth year there, we definitely turned some heads and exceeded expectations. And then our second season as well we were still moving upwards and exceeding our expectations that we had. And we had a better year than the first year, and then this year as well. I mean, the standings show that we're having a good start here, and it's pretty great that we've added on some strong additions to the team, as well as just kept a solid core of players from that rebirth year. So it's not very often that you get to have the same group of players, especially at the university level, that just you can kind of stick with the majority of the same team and add on a few additions each year.
Yeah, and you mentioned the recent success. It was 2 big character wins over the weekend out in Nipissing. You guys were trailing both of those games in the third period. Do you think that core group of guys has really helped you guys win those character games when you're down when you're down and you just need that extra little, like motivation to put you over the top?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an aspect to it there. We've kind of seen it all in our games over the last few years here. Even starting with our very first exhibition game as a team back a few years ago there. We took McGill to overtime, and it was a really close game. And, I mean, we've had lots of ups and downs throughout the years, and we've just kind of seen that in this league, anyone can win on any given night. And just having that experience throughout most of our lineup, it definitely comes in handy in big games.
Yeah, so you were mentioning the rivalry earlier between you and Carleton. Now, I know the schools themselves have a big rivalry. How is that really translated onto the ice between your two teams specifically?
Yeah, whether it's football or basketball or whatever the sport is, there's big rivalries between the two schools, and yeah, it's no different on the ice. I mean, from year one, we developed a pretty big rivalry with Carleton's hockey team, and just right from the get-go, our games against them are pretty physical. They're pretty high emotional games, and it's just two teams that are not big fans of each other on the ice. So it's a lot of fun to play them, but they're also very intense games. And yeah, I mean, we've split season series with them before. Last year, we actually knocked them out of the playoffs after finishing below them in the standings. And just every game that we play them, we both have to be at our best because we know the other guys are bringing their best.
Yeah, that playoff series was quite entertaining. I'm not sure if you know, but I do color for you guys. I'm on the broadcast team for the men's hockey team, and last year it was just a great ride. That Carleton series was fantastic. Do you have a favorite moment from that series?
This might not be a surprise, but just winning that third game and winning that series, just going in the handshake after and just looking those guys in the eyes when we were shaking their hands and just knowing that we had gotten the better of them. And I mean, the whole series, and I mean, between the playoff series, the Colonel By Classic, and our regular season series against them, just a lot of emotions running high and just a lot of intensity between the teams. So just being able to close out that series and take them down, it was just a pretty satisfying feeling for us.
I think it also helped that you picked up a pretty big assist in that series too.
Yes. Oh yeah. That doesn't hurt either.
You've been kind of a Ravens killer, actually, just looking back over your stats. 1 goal, 4 assists in all the games combined. Do you feel that there's just an extra something when you play against Carleton than if you play against, not to disparage the name, but like a Nipissing?
Yeah. I mean, when we play games like the Carleton games and the McGill games and Queens, those are games, they're not too difficult to get up for. I mean, we know who we're playing. We know the caliber of hockey that the game's going to be. They're usually fast-paced, physical games, and there's just that extra sense of preparation that you need to kind of go through, and you know that those teams are going to be just coming at you full on, and they'll be high-skilled, high-speed, and high-intensity games. So at the end of the day, those games are the most fun ones to play as well because it's just all in those games.
Yeah, and the Colonel By Classic now, this is only its third year running, and the women's is having their first Colonel By Classic this year. How do you think like this specific event is helping build your rivalry every year more with Carleton?
I think that just overall having the advertisements of the games and just getting a sheer number of fans out just makes it that much better. I mean, there's nothing better than scoring a goal in front of thousands of your own fans, but I mean just doing it in front of your rivals' fans as well and just kind of quieting them down. It's a pretty fun experience, and having the women's team doing it as well, that's going to be just as great. It's going to be adding on to the rivalry, and I'm sure that they'll get a good turnout for their game as well, because I mean both teams being in the same city, we can get some good crowds out, and people just love to see that rivalry.
Do you think that Canada being a hockey country, do you think that the Colonel By, which isn't at the level of Panda, has the potential to be?
I definitely think it can. I mean, seeing the increases in crowds over the last couple of years, and I'm curious to see and excited to see what it's going to be like this year. I definitely think that it can be up there. I mean, the venue that it's in, TD Place, it has the potential to be filled. And I mean, if at some point in the future we have the opportunity to do the Colonel By Classic as an outdoor game at Lansdowne, that would be a pretty awesome experience too.
Okay, just pulling this away from the actual rivalry. The pregame for you guys has been a lot, I would say, happier this year. It's kind of gone away from music-wise, the harder stuff of like electric music. It's been a lot of like folk music. Do you guys get a hand in picking that?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of that question there?
Do you guys get a hand in picking the music that goes on during pregame?
Yeah, so we do. So we have quite a few East Coast guys on the team, and that's kind of where that music comes from. I mean, we got a guy from Newfoundland, a few guys from Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. So they definitely bring that aspect of the folk music to our dressing room and to our rink as well. It always puts a smile on our face when we're doing our warm up and the folk music comes on, and it just kind of reflects the way that we run our team, where we keep things light. We make sure that we always have a smile on our face and we're having fun. Even when it's time to get down to business, we're making sure that we kind of keep a bit of humor and a light mood in the room and on the ice as well.
Yeah, I have to say that song has been stuck in my head all year. You're on a new look line this year. I don't know if I would say the fourth. Personally, I think it's been one of the better lines for the Gee-Gees. You're quite an energy guy. But you have Mark Beckstead instead of Marco Izzano on your line this year. Obviously, Quinn O'Brien still joining you. Can you speak to the transition there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we do still have a similar role to last year. I mean, we definitely bring energy on the ice, and I know that last year one of our main roles was shutting down the opposition's top lines, and that was definitely an exciting role to have. But this year, we have such a deep team that, I mean, throughout the lineup, we can match up almost any line with another team's top line and be able to shut them down as well as exceed on the offensive side of things. So this year, it's been nice. We've been rolling lines quite a bit, and just being able to bring out the energy and as the line be on the ice for some key goals. It definitely it's an exciting kind of role to have on the team.
Yeah, and we're just winding down to the end here. I mean, I don't know if Cameron told you, but we're two Carleton students. Can you tell us what a Gee-Gee is, given one of our classic chants?
Well, I've heard a few things. Obviously, Gee-Gee stands for the Garnet and Gray, which are our colors. But I've also heard that it is the lead horse in a race, or the first horse out of the gate. So it's kind of got dual meanings, and obviously with our logo being a horse, we can kind of take both of those meanings with our logo and our colors. So that's what a Gee-Gee is, and I'm assuming that it could outspeed a raven any day.
Well, thank you, Jacob. This has been an absolute pleasure. Best of luck this weekend when you guys take on Carleton.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thanks, you as well.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Jacob Hanlon of the University of Ottawa Gee-Gees just on the show there. And, I mean, for a first guest, it wasn't too bad of a first guest, was it?
Yeah, no, I thought we got some real comprehensive answers. A lot of knowledge in the U Sports realm, and I think it was good all around.
Yeah, no, definitely a very well-spoken person. It was just, if you're listening back to this, thank you, Jacob, for joining us once again. I do really appreciate it. We're just going to bounce on to the NHL here for a little bit. We can go from a Gee-Gee in Quinn O'Brien, Jacob Hanlon, Jesus, to one of his teammates, Anthony Brodeur, which will further connect us on to the Hockey Hall of Fame, where Anthony Brodeur's father, Martin, was inducted along with Willie Reed, Yana Hefford, Gary Bettman, Martin St. Louis, and Alexander Yakuskev.
Yeah, there was a big ceremony this week. A lot of people gave speeches, including Gary Bettman, who was, I would say, traditionally booed. And then I thought, honestly, he had a great line where being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame is not a popularity contest, which is very true, seeing as he is in the Hockey Hall of Fame now.
Well, I mean, love him or hate him, and I mean, hate him if you're from the country of Canada for what.
But for what he's done for the game, he's brought cups down south. Like, he's expanded the game. Like, I gotta give him some respect, but as much as I don't like him because I'm Canadian, it's pretty much like when we're born in Canada, like the first thing we have to do is, do you hate Gary Bettman? And if you say no, you get kicked out.
No, you just don't get your citizenship.
He's an interesting guy, and there's a lot of things that you can say that he's done a good job in his tenure as the commissioner of the league, but there's a lot of things to controversy that.
A lot of controversy.
Yeah, a lot of controversy against that, where he has not been great for the Canadians, not Canadians, but like the country of Canada and the sport of hockey in the NHL.
Well, I mean, Bettman's job is to make money and not to be liked, and he's done a great job of that.
It's very, very true. Hockey's a business, and that's what we're treating it as. I would love it to be more of a fan-based thing where it's the sport before the business aspect, but I think that in our society, it's not going to be like that ever, and I'll take it as it is. I just want us to go to the Olympics.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole thing in itself. I mean, I think over in Europe, they're experiencing the same thing where sport is starting to become a business rather than just sport, and a couple of growing pains. But yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it has to happen. Like, you got to put money. Like, if you don't put money first, eventually it's just going to implode on itself, and then you're not going to have a league at all. So
yeah, exactly. It's better to have a professional league than to not, for sure.
100%. It's the best league in the world.
Also, we've gogged on this show over some muscles before in one of our earlier ones. I mean, Marc Bergevin does have those
thick biceps.
But did you see Martin St. Louis' legs over
They
the
are
weekend?
Thick. I like the surprise from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I thought that was really classy.
It was. After, I mean, how it didn't end on maybe the greatest of terms between Stevie Y and Martin St. Louis after he didn't select him to go to the Olympics, but
yeah,
very fitting.
100%. And I think it was a good reunion with all of them. When he saw them, he was genuinely happy. They were happy. Him and Stammer was my favorite. They had a good hug, and they were having a good time. I think that out of all these guys going to the Hall of Fame, though, the biggest name is definitely Martin Brodeur.
Well, I mean, biggest name in terms of hockey. But
Yeah,
if you want
hockey.
to talk impact, I would argue Willie O'Reed. But we'll talk about Martin. We'll jump to Willie O'Reed. And hats off to Jana Hefford also for getting in, and Alexander Yakushkin. But Martin Brodeur is, I mean, a guy that I grew up watching. He
was like the last stand-up style goaltender with that flashiness, and he was so fun to watch. But I only could watch him for the last couple years of his career until he retired. I remember when he cut the net off for his was it the 690, his last win
remember.
or whatever?
But
he cut
I
the
think
net.
my favorite Martin Brodeur memory. Do you remember at the Olympics when he came halfway out of his net to halfway through his zone to bat the puck out of the air, missed, and the puck went in the net? Vancouver
Yes,
Olympics.
I do remember
That's
that.
the clearest Martin Brodeur memory
that was
I
so
have.
funny. Oh boy, that he was a character. That's the reason they have the trapezoid now in the league. He would just go
It
into
was
the
him
corner
as
with
well.
the
Yeah,
puck.
definitely a big player, and I mean, first name ballad. It's not.
Oh,
it wasn't even a question.
When he was in his when he was midway through his career, everyone knew he was going to be in the Hall of Fame already. People it's 100%. There's a lot of people around the league now that we know we're going to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about them later, but because we have a couple things a couple milestones that happen that are big. But definitely Martin Brodeur's right up there. New Jersey Devil great. Canada icon.
I would argue best goalie ever to come out of this country.
You got to fight with Patrick Roy
Yeah, I know.
and Carey Price. And but yeah, that's there's definitely an argument to be made there. He is one of the greats of all time, arguably the best goalie. He was probably the best puck handling goaltender of all time. He got multiple goals in his career. I remember when he got his first goal and he sellied super hard. That's a good moment. He was super happy, jumping up and down. He was a class act, and he was also just like a good personality to have in the game.
Yeah, right you are. And I mean, if we just want to quickly jump on to Willie O'Reed, this is far too late for him to be getting in. He should have been getting in
So long ago.
decades ago, but paved the way for
yeah.
African Americans in the game.
Yeah,
I
first.
believe that he was blind in one eye as well and came back. His story's a very interesting one. I'll drop an article in the description that further explains this, but an absolute hero to the game and someone.
Oh, 100%. He's like the Jackie
completely
Robinson
changed it.
of hockey.
Yeah, Jackie. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Jackie Robinson of hockey, and great. And he should have been in the Hall of Fame, as you said, decades ago. But happy that they're finally doing it, and he's finally in the Hall of Fame. It's similar to what like the Leafs did at their 100th season when they inducted all those people, like the 100 greats, and then they put all the banners up, retired a couple numbers.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different. One is
It's different.
One is racism. The other one
Yeah.
is
Well,
there was a falling out.
Well, I'm talking like the Leafs. I'm talking about as their
Yeah, like Dave Keon.
Yeah. Like there was like people that they didn't put in the Hall of Fame or anything.
Yeah.
But Willie O'Reed, 100% Hall of Famer, great guy. Never met him personally, but I would love to. Want to come on the pod?
Yeah, Willie, the offer is always open. Okay. So I think we've gone on long enough. I just want to say a quick thank you to Jacob Hanlon, who came on at the start of this podcast. It was great having him on. The first ever
Guest.
real Procast guest. And
Real
what
good.
Real good Procast. I mischaracterized my own.
Because Jacob's a real good player.
He is. He just, why don't you give us that Babs impression to round off the show, Ian?
Oh, he's a real good player. Gets in those greasy places. Works harder than anyone else on the ice, and shows a good effort every night.
Follow your hosts on Twitter at DeBart14, at Ian_Blumenthal, and at Marshall Healy. Don't forget to follow the podcast at Real Good Procast.